Welcome in 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. We are getting closer and closer to 2025. I'll tell you what, it is a crazy time of year, as always, here with the year end. On this show, I'm always kind of giving examples of life, of customer service. Usually I'm bitching about customer service. Today, I want to talk about great customer service and what that looks like and when that happens, right? So recently I had a service situation on one of my vehicles. I brought it into the shop, went off to some meetings, planned on picking it back up in 4 hours. About 3 hours into that time frame, I get a text that my vehicle is not ready because other people had come in throughout the day without appointments. Remember, I had one. Come in without appointments, major issues. Mine was just a simple tire swap for the winter, but I was asked if I could delay it. Problem is, I lived an hour away, and it was about 45 minutes before I had to leave town anyway. So I knew that the work wouldn't be done. So you kind of are in this situation where you have two choices, right? You're like, well, I can sit here and scream about it, or I can just move on. And so I did. And so I called the service manager and said, hey, this is, it wasn't the best thing to have happen. He's like, hey, we'll deliver to you. Okay. I mean, I don't even like valets driving my car. I'm just weird like that. So I was like, all right, that's fine. I got home. I thought about it and talked to my wife. And she's like, no, let's go to dinner. We'll just go back up there. So, hey, no big deal. We'll go back up there. So we shoot back up there and we walk in and give the folks my name, and they can't find my keys. And that's never a great feeling, especially when you're at a service department where someone can't find your paperwork, can't find your keys. It's them. It's close to their closing hour. It's close to you trying to head out and do your own thing, right? And so you have that going on. But what happened next was pretty cool, right? So all of a sudden they found my keys in a random drawer with no RO. And they were all like, well, why would there be no RO? They looked it up and there's like, no, there's no RO for this. And so basically what had happened was the service manager decided to comp me for the hassle, which, it wasn't necessary. I was frustrated in the incident, in the moment, in the instant that it happened, but I think that's easy for anyone to do. I think anyone can get frustrated, right then and there. So I tried to dial it back a little bit and let it just kind of, again, what's the worst case? They deliver a car, I come back here, whatever. It's an hour drive. It's nothing in the world. But for this to have happened, to me, means a lot about relationships and a lot about what people do. And I do a lot of work with the organization that I service my cars with. It's a relationship thing. It's what we do. And so, people were kind of, wondering what was going to happen next. And I got to be honest with you, I was pleasantly surprised by the outcome. Would it have helped to let people know what you were going to do so they knew where the keys were? Maybe, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and split hairs over that. It was a situation that could have gone a different way, and it went the positive way. So my point to you all is that customer service isn't dead. It isn't. Another situation came up in my life where there was, a provider we've been doing business with for a long time, and they came to me and said, hey, we don't show that you've paid XX invoice. And I'm like, well, that was 6 months, 8 months, 10 months ago. I paid that. You don't have record. And they're like, well, we don't have record, so we're going to have to bill you. And it's like, well, we have the credit card statement. We have this, we have that. They realized it was an internal problem on their end. And so instead of coming back to us being like, hey, everything's fine, they came back to us and gave us a credit. And again, in this sort of apologetic manner. And so again, what it shows me is that right now in our world, customer service it's make or break, man. People have choices. This is not COVID economy anymore. People have choices. People are doing things differently with their money. They're going places. They're going back out to restaurants. They're going to all these events. But what you commonly hear is customer service this, customer service that. It's typically a complaint, and it's happened many times on this show. I am not immune to complaining about that. However, we must be fair when things are good, when people do a great job. We need to be up on the, rooftops. We need to be out here talking about it, letting people know, because it's important, man. It's important that people hear the good along with the bad, right? I think it's context for both. And so I believe that it needs to be a major part of what I'm going to try and focus on in 2025, which is trying to bring light all of it. I don't think I'm a negative guy by trade. I think I end up in a negative space because I deal with a lot of consumerism and a lot of business. And so when that happens, I think it's like an odds thing. I believe that you end up there no matter what, frankly. And so again, when looking at this through the lens of a consumer, I say to myself, let's have more patience. Let's do this. But when you start going out in public, especially right now, right? Holiday season, oh man, it is an interesting one. The holiday season. It is something where you see people kind of at their worst. You see how people treat other people. So like I was standing in line at a whatever retail shop and people were just bitching and moaning about the line. Like looking around, being frustrated, looking for another lane to open up. It wasn't going to happen, right? It was already packed, a lot of people. It was a holiday season. And so I want everyone to just take maybe a step back, especially now, and look at what the situation is around you. Realize that the restaurant you're in might be shorthanded. The retail establishment you're in might not have enough coverage for that day. People go home sick. This is the kind of thing that happens. So I am, for 2025, going to try and be a more reasonable consumer, as well as someone who tries to realize that whatever you think is going on, right? There's something larger probably happening in someone else's life that maybe you don't know about. And so it's just always best to start with what we like to say around here, the idea of seeking to understand, right? Look around, see what the situation is first, then maybe bring a comment. And if all things possible, try to be constructive. And on this show, I know that I've talked badly about some vendors and some people and some processes, but only in a way to try and be better, right? I don't use names on this show. I never have, and I never will, because it's not about that. It's about how do we get better based on what we learn around us. And I don't think enough people take enough time to learn about what's going on around them and or to stop in and check on those around them as well. So remember, customer service is something that right now is going to win or lose you in deals, especially in our world, folks, in the car business. Let's not joke about this. Inventory is back. Incentives have not followed suit. The consumer is kind of not as interested as they were. But we must remember to take care of the customer. Good, bad, or indifferent. If they're upside down, right side up, cash, finance, or lease, we have to treat them exceptionally. We have to go back. There is no more. We do not live in a world, as I started the show with, we do not live in a COVID economy where you can just say, yeah, pound it. Out next customer, please. Not a thing. So take some time, scale back on what we're thinking, and maybe expectation-wise, what I'm going to try and do, I'm not going to lower them. I'm going to level them to the playing field. Level the expectation to the playing field. I think it will be most helpful for me. I hope you find it helpful for you. And let's go out and have fun. Let's enjoy the holiday season. Next week on the show, we're going to have a little bit of fun as well. Please join us. Thank you so much. Have yourselves a wonderful week.